Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, we are from Group 8. I am ALISSA Camila and my partner DIEFA OKTAVIA Putra and Afta Subari. Today, we will explain about Neurolinguistics, language areas in the brain, tongue tips and slips, aphasia, and the critical period. Neurolinguistics. Neurolinguistics is a science that incorporates methods and paradigm of linguistics and neuroscience. Neurolinguistics is the study of the neural mechanism in the human brain that control the comprehension, production, and acquisition of language. Neurolinguistics is the study of how language is represented in the brain, that is, how and where our brains store our knowledge of the language or language that we speak, understand, read, and write. What happens in our brains as we acquire that knowledge and what happens as we use it in our everyday lives. The goal of the field of neurolinguistics is to understand and explicit the neurological basis of language and speech, and to characterize the mechanism and processes involved in language use. The techniques involved in neurolinguistics are subtraction paradigm, mismatch design, violation-based studies, various forms of priming, and direct stimulation of the brain. Neurolinguistics draws methodology and theory from fields such as neuroscience, linguistics, cognitive science, neurobiology, communication disorders, neurophysiology, and computer science. Next, language areas in the brain. There are three parts of language areas in the brain. They are Broca's area, Wernicke's area, and the angular gyrus, and arcuate fasciculus as a complement in the brain. Broca's area, located in the left hemisphere, is associated with speech production and articulation. Our ability to articulate ideas as well as use words accurately in spoken and written language has been attributed to this crucial area. Wernicke's area is a critical language area in the posterior superior temporal lobe connects to Broca's area via a neural pathway. Wernicke's area is primarily involved in a comprehension. Historically, this area has been associated with language processing, whether it is written or spoken. Next, language areas in the brain. There are three parts of language areas in the brain. They are Broca's area, Wernicke's area, and the angular gyrus, and arcuate fasciculus as a complement in the brain. Broca's area, located in the left hemisphere, is associated with speech production and articulation. Our ability to articulate ideas as well as use words accurately in spoken and written language has been attributed to this crucial area. Wernicke's area is a critical language area in the posterior superior temporal lobe connects to broadcast area via a neural pathway. Wernicke's area is primarily involved in a comprehension. Historically, this area has been associated with language processing, whether it is written or spoken.
Okay guys, and the next part is tongue tips and slips. Slip of the tongue are speech error in which intended utterance are rearranged between other words or sound. There are three types of slip of the tongue error. One is sound error, and the number two is morpheme error, and the number three is word error. A sound error occurs when the sounds in word clause by are exchanged. For example, instead of saying flower pot, one say power flood. A morpheme error occurs when morphemes, which are small meaningful unit in language, are switched in word clause by like that. For example, instead of saying self-destruct instruction, one say self-instruct destruction. Word error occur when actual words are rearranged. For example, instead of saying reading a book to my dog, one say reading a dog to my book. Okay, and this is the next part of tongue tips and slip. There are three other slip of the tongue error: anticipation error, perseveration error, and selection. Anticipation error occur when a later words in a sentence replace an earlier word in the sentence. For example, instead of saying reading list, one say leading list. Anticipation error are also the most common phonological slip. And perseveration error occur when a earlier segment replies an later item. For example, one would say black box instead of black boxes. Adelection is the last in this list, and it occurs when some of the letters in a word is left out. For the example, saying unanimity of opinion instead of unanimity of opinion. Okay, and the next part is aphasia. Aphasia is a disorder that results from the damage to a portion of the brain that are responsible for language. For most people, these areas are on the left side of the brain. Aphasia is caused by damage to one or more of the language area of the brain. Most often, the cause of the brain injury is a stroke. A stroke occurs when a blood clot or a leaking or burst vessel cuts off blood flow to part of the brain. And brain cells die when they do not receive their normal supply of blood, which carries oxygen and important nutrients. Other causes of brain injury are several blows to the head and brain tumor, gunshot wound, brain infection, and progressive neurological disorder, such as Alzheimer's disease. This is the last part of aphasia. There are two broad categories of aphasia, fluent and non-fluent, and there are several types within this group. The damage to the temporal lobe of the brain may result in Wernicke's aphasia, the most common type of fluent aphasia. People with weak aphasia may speak in a long, complete sentence that have no meanings, adding unnecessary words and even creating made-up words. For the example, someone with weak aphasia may say, "That's model pink road, and that I want to get him around and take care of him like you went before."
The most common type of non-fluid aphasia is Broca's aphasia. People with Broca's aphasia have damage that primarily affect the frontal lobe of the brain. They often have right-sided weakness or paralysis of the arm and leg because the frontal lobe is also important for motor movement. People with Broca's aphasia may understand, speak, and know what they want to say, but they frequently speak in short phrases that are produced with great effort. They often omit small words such as is and the. For example, a person with Broca's aphasia may say, "Walk dog," meaning "I will take the dog for a walk," or "book book to table," for there are two books on the table. People with Broca aphasia typically understand the speak of others fairly well. Because of this, they are often aware of their difficulties and can become easily frustrated. Another type of aphasia, global aphasia, results from damage to extensive portions of the language areas of the brain. Individuals with global aphasia have several communication difficulties and may be extremely limited in their ability to speak or comprehend language. They may be unable to say even a few words or may repeat the same word or phrases over and over again. They may have trouble understanding even simple words and sentences. There are often types of aphasia, each of which results of damage to different language areas in the brain. Some people may have difficulty repeat words and sentences even though they understanding them and can speak fluently. Condition aphasia. Others may have difficulty naming object even though they know what the object is and what it may be. Also, uh, Others may have difficulty naming object even though they know what the object is and what it may be, used for anomic aphasia. The critical period, the hypothesis then there is a critical period in life to learn a language was first proposed by the Canadian neurologists Penfield and Roberts in 1959. The hypothesis was then popularized by the linguist and neurologist Eric H. Denneberg in his 1967 book Biological Foundation of Language. Denneberg speculates that the critical period hypothesis not only effective for language acquisition, but could also be extended to second language acquisition. According to the critical period hypothesis, language can be acquired only within a critical period extending from early infancy until puberty. The hypothesis is unstable for first language acquisition because no child can be intentionally deprived of language for experimental purposes. The nerve-sensitive periods and windows of opportunity are more accurate labels than critical periods. There is no sharp and sudden or abrupt decline in language development across the board, but different windows of opportunity for different language aspects and domains. There are consecutive sensitive periods for each of the language domains in the following order: phonology, lexical and collocation, morphology, and syntax. In a study by Granina and Long with Chinese learners of Spanish in Madrid, the oldest starting age for participants, their reached native like Spanish pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar were 5, 9, and 12 respectively. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. Sorry if there are deficiencies and mistakes. Sorry.